You've made it to Chiro Hustle Live. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This episode is brought to you by Clothes for Chiro, Chiro Sushi, Barbara Eaton's 56-day chiropractic boot camp, California Jam, Move Well University, the Black Diamond Club, Pure Chiro Notes, the Chiro Dex app, Dr. Alok Trivedi, Chiro Spark, Chirogram, Chiropractic Wealth Management, 8 Weeks to Wellness, Integrative Freedom, and Element Mattresses. Let's hustle. Jim Chester here with the Chiro Hustle podcast. I have an afternoon edition with Sara Zwink. She is a DC to be. She is a pre-Chiro out there in Spokane, Washington. I'm out here in the Grand Valley of Grand Junction, Colorado. Absolutely beautiful out here. I'm sure it's gorgeous out where she is as well. Just to let you guys know before we dive into this whole interview, this episode is brought to you by Dr. Blake Kalkstein, and his company is called Chiro Spark. So if you guys want the best guidance for a low fee to get you guys more new patients in your office, check out Chiro Spark. They manage everything social for you. So if you guys want to get better on YouTube, better on Facebook ads, they have an academy that teaches you guys this awesome stuff. So with that being said, welcome to the show, Sara, and let's just dive right in. So how is it today? I know you're doing some study stuff with organic chem today.
Today was organic chem, tomorrow's microbiology. We got this. It's actually fairly disgusting outside up in Spokane. It's all, I haven't seen blue skies in 3 months, but we'll get through it. That's why. So I'm moving south here in a couple months.
Okay. So let's just jump right into it. Why did you pick chiropractic? What's in it for you?
What's in it for me? Well, I mean, I think with everyone's why, it kind of is also a reflection of who they are. So to sum up my little story, definitely did not grow up in the chiropractic world. I grew up with a family that focused more on nutrition. We weren't run to the doctor kind of people at all. So it was a quick enough fit once I got to see what chiropractic was. But basically back in 2012, I think it was, I had a friend who, she's a chiropractor up in Alaska. She's amazing. I can thankfully call as my friend now. She needed an assistant at her office. And she had actually just adopted a baby. She needed a nanny / assistant / whatever I could do. I had just moved back from traveling, and I was like, yes, I need a job. Take me. So I started day one in her office, and I had never seen chiropractic in action at all. She works with a lot of pregnant mamas and babies, and so it was just families coming in. And I had never been in anything that was even in the health medical world that just had like a positive, warm, loving vibe to it. As cheesy as that may sound, but you go to medical offices and they're just kind of like gross places to be. And here I walk into this chiropractic office and people are smiling and people are saying hi, and you just feel like you're in a healthier place just from walking in. So I worked for her for about a year, and I remember really, really loving what she was doing. But I also remember I talked to one of her friends there once, and her friend asked me if I ever thought I wanted to be a chiropractor. And I just remember thinking, I don't know, that seems like quite a commitment. I think I'll just always support the profession. And she said, well, most people who think they're always going to support the profession just end up becoming chiropractors. And I remember hearing her say that, and I was like, we'll see. But then Dr. Mary Lucas Flannery actually went up with Life West to do one of their kind of about the school nights and up in Anchorage. And so I went to that, and, there were maybe 10 of us or so there. And I got to talking with her afterwards. And we actually went out to dinner, and we talked, I think it was for 3 hours or so. And I remember she was my second exposure to chiropractic. And I already loved the way my boss worked in her office, but I didn't think I would want to set up like that. I didn't necessarily want to be stuck at one office forever. I'm like a traveler at heart. And then the way Mary explained to me just what she does and how the profession can be essentially whatever you would want it to be, because you can be your own boss and create your own path in it. I remember leaving that dinner thinking, oh, this is it. It already makes so much sense to me anyway, the profession. It was the kind of thing, I think growing up, I'm always been like a little bit of a devil's advocate to where I'll want to support the opposite side of a conversation. And so when I learned what chiropractic was, and that it was a little bit of like an outlier in the medical field, so to speak, and people are always like, oh, those chiropractors are not real doctors. And that's the conversation I heard so many times when I told people I worked in a chiropractic office. So like my natural instinct would be to kick back and fire and be like, really? Because I see a lot of success in the patients we come in every single day. And so like my natural instinct was making me support this profession I didn't even know I was in love with yet. And then I started looking really behind how it worked. And even just from the first example of like, say you break your back you can be paralyzed. And I was like, oh, so spinal cord. And it was just like one little click after another. And soon enough, and I think it comes from being someone who kind of sees the world through rose-colored glasses. I choose to do that now consciously, but maybe back in the day I was a little naive about it. I thought people do better when they feel better. And whether they're coming in for an injury or whether they just want to function at a higher level, at their highest potential, I want to be a part of that. And as soon as I realized like that connection with, okay, maybe the world will never be perfect, but I'm going to be one of those kind of people who tries for the rest of their days to help make it a better place. And for me, chiropractic just flat out does that.
That's cool.
The sum of it up.
No, that's really cool. And Tim McFadden, he's a chiropractor out there in Washington, and he is very supportive of the Chiro Hustle podcast. His company is called Chiro Dex, and what they do is they index chiropractors to be referral sources to each other and to schedule patients in that may move or help each other with their with the referral of patients. So Chiro Dex is Tim McFadden's company, but he says he loves hearing stories about the path taken to chiropractic, which I think is really cool. I do think it's really cool for people to hear your story and for people to hear why you chose it. And then before we get into the rest of the interview, I'm going to let you answer this one because we had a quite spirited chat before we started the live interview. And Tim McFadden says this: "Hey, Jim, you going to continue supporting or are you going to become a chiropractor?" And would you mind answering that for him?
Oh, I don't think we'll see a Dr. Jim Chester at any time in our future, but we'll see a mastermind behind the profession, absolutely, as we do now.
So there you have it, Dr. Tim. I have a lot of work to do to get the profession more integrated with, supporting the controls of the who's driving the car, who's driving this chiropractic mission. And I think that that's vitally important for the future, is to have more unity, which I call unity through diversity. And I think the more that we support each other and we don't support the old school conversation of we're different, I think we're all more alike. And I think that what we discussed off camera is, that there is a movement that we're moving to new conversations and the old conversation is dying. And let's jump into the next question I have for you. But yeah, Dr. Tim, I think that where I'm at is a good place. And so what are your early stages? What are you doing right now to prep yourself for Chiro school?
Right. So right now I think I'm about 2 more quarters out of finishing up on my prereqs. So I'm deciding to go the prereq route, which I do know will exclude me from practicing in a couple states, but I figure, hey, there's 50 states. So I think I can make that work. So I just have a couple more science classes to finish up and then a couple just random credits to round out the minimal. I believe it's 90. And then got my eyes on Sherman for the fall. So hopefully, if all goes as planned, then say August or September, I'll be road tripping across to South Carolina, transplanting myself there, which sounds like a fun time. So that's the gist of that.
That's cool. So let's flip right into it. Why Sherman? Why did you pick Sherman?
So from the get-go, and thankfully my introduction to chiropractic was always about the innate, and I'm thankful that that's what introduced me to it. And that's the first word. If I ever look for a new chiropractor in my area, I kind of throw that word around and see how they react to it. And if they're not passionate, then I will never return to them again. But so from the get-go, it was always just down to Life West, and Sherman. And I looked a little bit internationally as well, in New Zealand and even in Barcelona, but it just kind of came down to accreditations and where I thought would make the best move for me personally. And my chiropractor back home in Alaska, she went to Life West, and that was actually the one I always considered for the longest time. But then when I started looking into, frankly, just the cost between Life and Life West and Sherman, I thought, okay, well, I mean, California is not going to be what I would want to first pick to live through school. And so I looked to Life, and Life actually had been my pick for the longest time because I liked that they had the undergrad to DC program. And I've always, previous to chiropractic, I had a huge interest in nutrition, and that world just seems not specific and passionate enough for me. So I looked into life the longest time, and then by sheer financial matters, I was like, let's just look at Sherman. The cost of living is lower, and their tuition is lower. And I keep hearing this name thrown around whenever I talk to chiropractors. So I got myself to one of their Showcase Sherman weekends last May, which is actually the same weekend as Lyceum. So it was just covered. The whole campus was covered with chiropractors. And I just completely fell in love with the campus. I even talked at our closing little meeting for the whole Showcase Sherman group. I said a couple words, and the first word that came to mind was family. I mean, you have El Presidente, and you have them walking around calling everyone by name, and it's like the staff, the faculty, and the students are all one huge family there, and that just felt so automatically comfortable for me, at least. And so I actually had meant to visit Life West later in the year, and maybe I should have, but I canceled. I decided not to follow through with that because I was like, I don't necessarily want to be that person who visits one school and calls it good, but man, Sherman feels right.
Yeah, and I can't say enough about the Sherman family. They treat everybody with high level of respect. Every time I see I saw Dr. Cordero at Cal Jam this past weekend. Nothing but open arms and appreciation for the work that we're doing. Saw Dr. Neil Cohen, nothing but open arms and love and support for what we're doing. And they sponsored the adjusting area, so it was just really cool to see everybody getting adjusted and under the sponsorship of Sherman College. And I think that they have dynamic team out there. They're integrated with the brightest people in the profession that are all givers, and that everybody that they're sending to Sherman they're definitely getting dynamic educations and coming out and being successful because they see to it that the practitioner that graduates from Sherman has success quality. And like you said, the Sherman Showcase, that's so cool what they do. They bring students out. They cover. Did they cover your airfare?
They covered a good portion of it. They gave me a voucher for almost all of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and they put you up in a room or something too.
Like yep, absolutely. In your own too. I figured they'd throw 4 of us in one, but no, we got our own.
So that's really cool. Is they're very accommodating for the future practitioner, and they put the red carpet out there and say, "Hey, welcome to the family." And I think that that's really cool what Sherman does for the future chiropractor, and they really treat them as a professional from day one.
And even part of that weekend was the fact that there were so many students. They were so caringly taking away from their own study time to spend the entire weekend with us and show us around the town and show us around the school. And I thought, man, if there's 15 students in front of me, all of them who I genuinely believe are loving to be here and help this new group of potential students, if that's what the school teaches their students and that's how involved the current students are in the success of this school, then that's something I want to be a part of. That's
really cool. So you started out in chiropractic as a CA?
I did, yeah. So I would do scans and just anything around the office that was needed to be done. And I mean, honestly, I remembered loving it. And the only reason I left was because I wanted to travel some more. And I remember thinking, man, got a good little gig going on here. It's easy. It's something I believe in. But I wanted to travel back to Brazil. And so I had to pick up and leave. And part of me thinks I should have just stuck with that job for the long run, for at least up until I was ready to move to chiro school, because it was such a great place to be. But yeah, it was just, and the cool thing about her office, and I think this is something that was really fundamental in me growing to love chiropractic, is that since it was a smaller place, even if I was trying to listen or didn't want to listen, I would just always heard her talking to the patients and about what was happening with their body, what was going to change, what they could or couldn't expect, or what they came to with her, or what results they had already seen. And then just being surrounded by that kind of dialogue every single day, Monday through Friday, ingrained it in me that it's just what made sense. So
and
I'll be happy to not do all the scans at some point, but hey, now when I need to, I have no problem doing them.
Yeah, that's really cool. And just to switch gears a little bit with you and talk about, what your hopes and, your passion, where you're leading yourself. And I know that you have leaders in front of you, but where is the future for you? What do you see yourself doing in, say, the next 3 to 5 years when you finish school?
Sure. So ideally, I want to pack up the day after I graduate, fly down to Brazil, and either work or open a clinic 20 hours after my graduation ceremony. That would be the dream. And I'm not saying that's impossible. In fact, I'm going to keep planning on that until something proves me otherwise. But my senior year of high school, I spent on a Rotary Youth Exchange in Brazil. I just completely fell in love with the culture. I went back a couple years later, incidentally got myself a boyfriend 4 years later. He's still my favorite human. And I go back there once or twice a year. And every single time I'm there, it's a combination of these people are amazing and these people freaking need chiropractic. None of them know what it is. I've met one person who knows the word, and he is a I don't know what he does. I mean, I think he's a massage therapist, and he's looking into doing a chiropractic course in Brazil because it's set up a little differently. They're not regarded by any means of any sort of doctor. It's almost more of like a I don't know. It's so new there that I want to be a part of it. And a lot of chiropractors there are also physical therapists, which is what it is. But there's a couple, even there's an American, Dr. David Serio, there's an Australian who's in Rio, and then I've connected with a couple of them, and other outsiders come to Brazil to help grow the profession there. And then that chiropraxia hashtag on Instagram, like I think I follow every single Brazilian chiropractor on Instagram and try to connect with them as much as possible. And I hope it's not weird that this random American from Alaska wants to move down there and serve their people, but I think it's so nice, and there's such a good opportunity because it's so unsaturated and they don't know what it is. So I think you have the prime opportunity to introduce chiropractic to them with no preconceptions. They're just a blank canvas, and like I said, they just also really, really need it. They could use some hands-on love.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle Live. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This episode is brought to you by Clothes for Chiro, Chiro Sushi, Barbara Eaton's 56-day chiropractic boot camp, California Jam, Move Well University, the Black Diamond Club, Pure Chiro Notes, the Chiro Dex app, Dr. Alok Trivedi, Chiro Spark, Chirogram, Chiropractic Wealth Management, 8 Weeks to Wellness, Integrative Freedom, and Element Mattresses. Let's hustle.
Yeah, and like we talked off interview, the world needs to have a better brand of chiropractic, and actually the people in America are spoiled that we have so many practitioners and they don't utilize it properly. So giving care to people that actually will, actually be loyal to the word and be loyal to the care, that's a whole different playing field. And when you get a chance to help rebrand what the profession is to a new culture, I think that's just such a great opportunity. And I love it when people share their thoughts and dreams, because that just makes it more real. When you breathe it out and you actually say those words, the world understands the magnitude of who you are and what your goals are, and then it gives you that much more confidence to just push forward even through the tough days. And honestly, one of my sayings to myself is when I have a tough day, it's go forth and serve, go forth and serve, go forth and serve. And when I realized that we're all servants, we have to serve something. And if you serve chiropractic, then that's going to give you a better quality of life by you being the caregiver. So you're going to be serving people at a maximum level of what you have to offer to them, which I think is really, really impactful. So I think that what you're doing is, I bless you, and I think that it's a wonderful path that you're on. And I think that the more that you integrate yourself with different, thought leaders in the profession, you're going to start formulating your own feelings. You're going to start formulating your own vibrational tone of what you want to deliver and how you want to deliver it. And then, you get your dogma of what your truth is, and then you deliver that to the people that you have a chance to put your two hands on and change their course of life through taking the tension off of their nervous system, allowing them to live happy and healthy, right?
Yes, exactly. And that's what's something that's so interesting for being a pre-chiropractic student versus even just being a chiropractic student, is that I'm still the blank canvas here. I know I never want to drift away from the innate and away from the philosophy, but at the same time, I'm trying to keep my opinions on hold and just soak in all of the interviews, all of the information I can. I have Liam Schubel's and Dr. David Serio's. I have their books upstairs in my bedroom. So I feel like they're going to be very compatible, but I'm trying to I pick my school and I know how they practice. I know their vision and I know that's what I want. But from there, I want to just hold back my opinions as much as possible, because you're in a particular place where you really have, you know how you feel about certain things, but you also really have no right to preach that or to necessarily feel that way yet. So I'm trying to just be a sponge and absorb in what I can now.
That's cool.
So we'll see how I feel in 4 years when I graduate.
That's why one of the questions I like to ask the students is, where do they see the profession when they get out of school? And, where do you see it in 5 years?
See, this is where two answers come to mind. There's one answer that just sees it in this really like glorified place, which I would love to see, and there's the other answer that's like probably marginally better than it is now, which feels a little dismal. And it will probably be somewhere in the middle. I would love to see it be even more. I would love to see the knowledge of the power of chiropractic grow, and I do feel like as we have a population that, especially in a country like ours, isn't getting healthier, something has to give. I think that with what you're doing here and with other influences on social media, I mean, that's part of the reason why I'm trying to document my process with my YouTube channel, because I want the whole concept of being a pre-chiropractic student, I want to see that be as normal as being a pre-med student, or even surpass that. And so I would love to see it just keep growing and people becoming more aware of what it is that the power of an adjustment does. With that being said, it's an uphill battle, right? Isn't it? Is that a little bit too much of a
No.
negative point of view to have? I think we have a long way to go, especially because if you take a little politically, but there's a lot of people who don't want to hear that you don't need to take drugs to get healthy. And I'm so intrigued to see how that whole conversation continues, and I'm trying to stay out of it, but I also, like, me being me, I love to have an opinion and jump in on things. And so I'm trying to be less of a keyboard warrior on my Facebook, because I've gotten into too many discussions already. And, you can only change so many people's minds in a comment. But I think it kind of goes back to my why, in that I'm always going to try to bring around positivity and bring around the best in people. And I can only hope that sticks with as many people as possible, and then they turn to do the same thing in their lives. And I think we have a snowball effect of that happening in chiropractic, where you have more and more people becoming more and more passionate about what the adjustment does, and it's going to keep seeping. Hopefully within 5 years we're getting somewhere. I think 10 years from now is where we'll have seen a lot more movement.
Well, I think that you have a lot of truth and your passion for what you want and where you're going. And I think that anybody that's interested in helping you, I think that they'd be wise to, because I think that you're going to have an amazing voice going forward. And I think that you picked a great school to go to. And I think that you have, I didn't ask you who your mentors are at this point, but I think that you'll eventually develop great mentors. Actually, Mary Lucas Flannery is our episode of Chiro Hustle that came out today. So you should probably go listen to everything that she has to say, because she is a powerful voice in the women's chiropractic world. And she is so powerful that I don't even think she knows how powerful she really is yet. And I think that she will continuously climb the ladder of success within the chiropractic world and keep telling the story and keep influencing younger generations of young DCs. I think that, you having her as a colleague already and somebody that you can, reach out to. And like you mentioned, Liam Schubel and David Serio, having those guys as ambassadors for the knowledge that you're getting, I think that's spot on. And then being able to integrate yourself with the movement out there at Sherman, I think is it's really enlightening for me to know that that's where you're going, because I think that I don't tell people where to go to chiropractic school. I let them make that decision on their own. But it's really cool to hear people's why they chose to go where they're going and why they're choosing to do what they do. And I think that this episode was really enlightening for people out there listening. We have Lisa Tacky from over at Top Chiro over in the Netherlands, and she is at the school over there at in Manchester, England. She's at McTimony, but she's also very much in the same boat as you. She's taken her pre-classes and she's into the school now. And I think it's really cool to hear people's why. Why do they choose where they did, and where are they going with their career? So is there anything that we didn't cover that you want to share with our audience today?
I'm trying to think of what you and I talked about for about a half hour before we even hopped on here. I mean, I don't know. A lot of, and another reason why I also drifted towards Sherman is because they talked a little bit, and I don't really know how in depth they go, but they talked a little bit about how they support their students that have just graduated and their success rate with students for not defaulting on their loans, because regardless of what you're saying, regardless of any professional path you're going to take at this point, there's going to be a chunk that you have to borrow. And but I don't want to be one. I don't want to graduate from a place that's going to completely prepare me for that. And I do trust that Sherman will do what they can do without, distracting too much of the real focus on hand, pun intended. But I think that they'll be a good place to be, just to at least have that conversation. And of course, that's why I'm in groups like Chiro Sushi, and I'm trying to sit down and watch as many marketing interviews as humanly possible while working, while going to school. And because I feel like, A, I want to be the best adjuster I could possibly be, and then B, I want to be the best businesswoman I can possibly be. And then I feel like as soon as I get those two things at least in line with where I want them to be, then everything else I can conquer. So that's why I'm also appreciative with what you do here.
Oh, thank you. Well, if I can ever help you and support you in the future more with any type of resources, whatever questions you might have, shoot me a personal message or give me a call or whatever it might be. I always point you to the North Star of the right source, to where you can always have that guiding light to know that I'm going to give you the best information that I possibly have to make sure that you can make the best informed decision that you want. And I think that that's a great place for me to hold in this profession, is being so well integrated with all these different groups and the thought leaders. And, that's just it, is when you have the resource, if you don't share it, then, I see that as a double negative. I see that you have the knowledge and you're selfish. So I choose not to be selfish with the information that I have. And I think
I tend to agree.
I think that more people need to be loud and effective with the message of chiropractic. And the more that we are the megaphone for the profession, and the more that we share the knowledge with the people that don't know, because you don't know what you don't know. And, people that we might judge them for not, supporting chiropractic, but how can you judge people for not supporting chiropractic when they don't know? So we have to reframe the way that we market the profession as you go forward in your career, to where people understand that it's a necessity that they need.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing too, is you have to understand everyone is just doing their best with the information they have at that exact moment. And just like what you said there, even as a student where I am now, I already feel a certain responsibility on my shoulders to just add it into every other conversation. I mean, all of my coworkers know that chiropractic is my life. And I just went to sleep last night with one of my previous coworkers emailing me saying, hey, who's good in the Spokane area? And I get that. I probably get one or two of those kind of emails a month. People assume that I know all of these things. But I love that they at least know that chiropractic and me, you can't have really one without the other. So I feel like I'm kind of hopefully doing my part in adding more positivity to the movement, because it is a movement from my point of view. And I'm excited to really get the studies and the experience behind that to then kind of practice what I preach. So that's what I'm most excited for. I can't wait until I can actually do it.
So let's wrap up on one last question. What is on the table for you this year? What are you doing to involve yourself in the chiropractic world more? Are you going to any events, or what's going on?
So finally, I kicked myself for not going to CalGym. I don't know why I didn't look into that, but that's okay. I will be at Chiro Sushi in June, and I am so psyched for this, because I'm just a 45-minute drive, if even half-hour drive from Ryan Bones. And so I met with him in Cassidy last year. It seems like it's already been a year, and I want to say if it was either right before. It was either right before Chiro Sushi kicked off, or maybe I just hadn't heard of it until afterwards. It was towards the beginning. And I remember hearing about the summit last year, thinking, oh, that could probably be a cool place to go. But for whatever reason, I decided not to. And as soon as I saw the dates that came out this year, and it's right after my last quarter ends, so I should be all ready for Chiro school after that. And I think that'll just be the best way to kick off my summer, and to just be able to mastermind with people, and to, like I said, soak in everything that has to be said there. And again, that kind of falls back with, even if I think that's the only big event that I have planned this year. But like I said, every single day on my notifications, they're like, 7 out of 10 are chiropractic related, and how many groups am I in, and how many amazing interviews are out there, or just even the Chiro Sushi Samurai page in and of itself is just a wealth of knowledge. So every time that I have 20, 30 minutes, I sit down with my little gold journal and I take notes on interviews. And I think just the fact that like every day is on my radar, I think that's a huge help. But mainly I just need to get my prereqs done so I can get into the school and get the real wheels turning. So that's what the year has for me. I do need to make a bigger point of documenting it for myself, because I'm one of those people who, like, back in 2008 I started posting YouTube videos, but like once every couple of months, and again kicking myself for not sticking with the YouTube thing, right? But then maybe I wouldn't have found chiropractic. So I guess every path winds itself out for a reason. But so I'm trying to keep documenting that, and at least get a few videos a month, just to, like I said, just to try to make it more of a commonplace kind of thing. So to help normalize in a good way the word chiropractic. So people are like, why would you want to say that? I mean, in my time in school now for 3 years, I've met one other student who was pre-chiropractic, and he was also pre-med at the same time. He was just waiting to hear back from schools. And that was the one student I've met. And so I just think, again, we do what we can wherever we are. So I'll just keep plugging away at all my online resources. I'll have a hell of a time in Vegas, which I'm very excited for because I've never been. And hopefully not sink when I start school at Sherman later this year.
Oh, you'll be great. And thank you for sharing your truth with everybody, the truth that you know it to be, and the truth that you've gotten yourself into alignment to be a part of for yourself and for your future. I know that everybody on here that's watching this right now has nothing but support for you. I know that we have an amazing audience of practitioners out there. Just throw a couple shout outs again. Tim McFadden is on the live. He says that if you need a chiropractor in Spokane, Vince Fitzpatrick is the guy. I'll throw a shout out there to Lisa Tacky, coming all the way in from Europe. She's over in the Netherlands helping Travis Corcoran with Top Chiropractic. We have Heather Gillette Dennison. She says, sorry to miss me at Cal Jam. Looking forward to connecting and our upcoming talk, because I'm going to have her on as a guest. And Jennifer Wolf Gillespie, I did see her at Cal Jam, and she says CAs and patients make great chiropractic advocates, which I 100% agree in, because you were a CA, I was a tech, and now here we are. You're going in to become a chiropractor, and here I am supporting the profession on all fronts possible. And Cindy Elwart Schaff Toll, she runs the Women's Chiropractic Group, and she is definitely supportive of the Chiro Hustle movement. She is a few episodes ago. So anybody that was on the live stream, we also have with us Dr. Dan Bay with Close for Chiro. They're one of our sponsors, the Chiro Hustle podcast. Chiro Dex is Tim McFadden's once again. So anybody that wants to find out where to send, so when you do get those like inquiries of where do I send a patient, then you can go to the Chirodex app and find where to send that patient to. And if you want to learn how to, when you finish school or before you go to school, I'm sure Lisa Tacky will say, look into Axiom, Seminar Sarah. Would love to meet you in the Netherlands. So Axiom is a big deal going on in August over in Amsterdam.
Don't tempt me. I love Europe.
I know that they've already tempted me.
All right, put it in the books.
I spent 6 hours with Travis Corcoran, the leader of the Top Chiropractic Group over there in the Netherlands, and he's like, we got to get you there. I'm like, well, dude, I have this going on. He's like, well, we have to figure out how to put you in 2 places at once.
Yeah.
And then I would also recommend getting into Dr. Dan Bay's group called Close for Chiro. If you want to learn how to be successful, jumping out of the gates, making the money that you deserve, being a practitioner, not looking back. They're probably one of the best deals out there, because they get you the yes with less stress. And they are definitely supportive of the business side of it. And I think that most chiropractors don't come out of school with the business mindset. One of the questions I like to ask people, Sarah, is, did you guys ever get a class in doing a spinal screening? Did you guys ever get like a class in how to go out there into the public and talk to your communities about what you do? No, you don't. They don't do that in school. So that's where I can come in as a resource too and be a mentor and help people refine their speaking skills out to their communities and help you guys harvest your communities for more new patients to where you can use the techniques of Dr. Dan Bay and go out there and bring the people in and then keep them under care. And I think that it's a very linear system. When you learn the business of chiropractic, you have to have the numbers of people coming in the doors. You have to learn how to retain those people. You have to learn how to, farm in the referrals for them. But you actually have to learn how to set your price points to where you can actually have a good quality of life. So that's my
Amen.
two
Absolutely. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So let's wrap up today. I just want to say thank you for being a guest on the Chiro Hustle live stream, student edition. And I want to throw another shout out there to Chiro Spark. They're your social media company for anything that you might need to learn how to run your YouTube channel like Sara, or learn how to do your Facebook campaigns, or run anything that comes to the knowledge base in the space of social media. Chiro Spark with Dr. Blake Kalkstein, the guy's crushing it. He's highly supportive of what we do. So if you guys need more information on how to become the best in class in social media, look at chirospark.com. And Sara, I hope that you have a great rest of your day, and hopefully the sun comes out for you.
Oh, you're telling me. I know. We'll find it somewhere. If not, that's another reason to go to South Carolina.
There's a lot of sunny days out there, but get ready for the humidity.
Oh, well, we'll deal with it. Thank you so much for having me on. This has been a blast. It's really kind of re-energized me for the mission as well.
Well, thank you. And I think that our offline chat was really awesome. And you guys missed the best parts, honestly.
Sorry.
But it was a good time for us to actually set some ground with each other and build the rapport, which I think is vital to a good interview. And it's more of a friendly conversation to where we both know where we stand before we go into the laying down the truth of chiropractic for the audience.
Absolutely.
So have a blessed rest of your day, and we'll talk to you soon.
Well. Yes, thank you.
See you.
Have a good one.
Thank you for listening to Chiro Hustle Live. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.